today than we were before.
So you think today we are safer than we were 2 years?
Yeah, because the response is much better. Yesterday or the day before, the German arrested people who were plotting something, a terrorist attack. It happens, I would not say every day, but it happens in many of the member states confronted with a terrorist threat, and that shows that our security services are cooperating much more, they are sharing more information among themselves, that we have developed the right tools to detect suspicious behavior or suspicious travels or suspicious intention. So that makes us less vulnerable. But of course, 100% security, there is nothing like 100% security.
Okay, two more questions and we are finished. One question goes about the attack that took place in Norway.
Yep.
That's home terrorism, it's domestic terrorism. So I would like to have your opinion about the right-wing terrorism in Europe nowadays. Besides what Breivik did in Norway, what do you think, starting with the case of Breivik, what do you think about the home terrorist, right-wing terrorism in Europe nowadays, and what do you think are the trends of the right-wing terrorism?
First, on the terrible event, it's so sad. It's awful what did happen in Norway, and we have to pay tribute to the way the Norwegians reacted, which is amazingly quiet. The call from the Prime Minister for more democracy, the open dialogue with all parts of societies, the Muslim Norwegians being very keen to develop the best relationship and integration process. All this makes this a very impressive reaction. The right-wing extremism is something which in a way grows in Europe. Unfortunately, it's xenophobia, Islamophobia, extreme ideas against mondialization and so forth developed indeed, and so it's something we have to tackle in the democratic sphere, and it's very important that let's put beside for a moment the repressive response. We need to make sure that all leaders, all the politicians are expressing strong, first avoid any discourse which might in a way lead to feed or give oxygen to the right-wing extremism. So we have to develop inclusive policies to improve integration and avoid anything which refers to migrants or as we have seen, Muslims in Europe, and that's a challenge. If you look at a recent study by the Fundamental Rights Agency on discrimination towards Muslims in Europe, it's a serious concern. People like Breivik falling to violence, hopefully we don't have many at the moment, but that just reinforced the point that we are concerned by all forms of violent extremism and not at all by singling out one community or one religion. And unfortunately, after 9/11, the Muslims have been too much the victim of that sort of stigmatization. But as in respect to extreme right, we have now to collect the best practices. Many of our member states are confronted with some forms of extreme right. What can we do in terms of prevention, in terms of education, in terms of messaging to address the problem? The German have been confronted to some neo-Nazi groups. They have developed very interesting policies, and in the context of the European Union we are now collecting this, and we are also exploring whether the work we have done on the radicalization by AQ-inspired or AQ-related terrorist group might also apply to the right-wing one. I don't have the answer, but it would be interesting to see if all the studies that have been made since 9/11 are relevant for the same subject. And in the different relevant working groups in Brussels, this is something on which we are working currently.
So this is one of the main concerns, and also one of the projects that it's working. I mean, you and the whole agency is working right now.
We of course look at what the lessons learned from AQ-related terrorism and see what can be applied. Should we improve the way we monitor the internet, like we did for AQ-related terrorism? We have at Europol a project which is called Check the Web, where one monitors the extremist website calling for the jihad, calling for murder. Should we have a separate program for extreme right call for violence? That's one example. And as I've said, same for the process of radicalization. So there is a lot we still have to do to address the problem, which Norwegian catastrophic attack confirmed that we have to be but we've not started after the Norwegian case. We have started looking at extreme right violence for some time.
Mm-hmm.